It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Now, as most of y'all should know, I've already spoken about Diddy giving the publishing back to his former bad boy artists. I've made reference to it a couple of other times in other videos as well. This seems to be one of the biggest stories in the music industry because he allegedly turned down hundreds of millions of dollars to sell his entire catalog and decided to instead disperse those publishing agreements and those publishing royalties back to the original artists and the songwriters. As everyone has been clapping it up and celebrating this reassignment of rights, there's a couple of bad boy artists that have come out and said they do not want the shit, okay? Now, Mark Curry, who made one of his sole appearances on Bad Boys for Life, We Ain't Going Nowhere. He ghost wrote some songs back in the day for Diddy during that era. He says he don't want the shit. He wants actual money, right? He says, give me the money my contributions made you, not these old ass royalties that nobody's even listening to the songs no more. Another artist that feels that way is Aubrey O'Day from Diddy Kane. Now, she just did an interview with the podcast called Only Stands. Apparently, she's been making her living for the last couple years, or at least a year or so, off of doing OnlyFans content, explicit content, and she's been getting paid for it through packages. I'm not judging her. That seems to be the new way that a lot of women are trying to get their bread nowadays. If you got somebody that's interested in you, if you look good to enough people, they'll pay to see you do whatever the fuck you want to do. I don't give a damn because I ain't finna pay her bill. So if that's what's going to do it, have your way. But within this podcast, she talks about the fact that in order to even accept reassignment of rights, you have to sign basically an NDA agreement to where you'll never speak ill of P. Diddy, Bad Boy, Justin Combs music, any of his entities that he owns or that his family owns. You can never say anything about your dealings with him ever again. You're taking this money, you shut the fuck up and go live your life, right? Aubrey, on the other hand, she feels like there's still money out there to be gotten. Number one, she does not care to receive streaming royalties off songs that are not being streamed that much. When you look up Diddy Kane's streaming numbers on Spotify, which is most likely their biggest platform where people are listening to them, they have about approximately 600,000 monthly listeners. 1 million streams on Spotify alone is probably like $5,000. So if you cut that in half, that's like $2,500. And then you got to split that amongst 5 members of the group. So she's not really interested in receiving a few $100s a month on behalf of the group. She did also write or co-write some of that music, so there is publishing checks to be distributed off of that as well. But again, those songs are not being synced, they're not being licensed. There's no real home for the music other than the streaming platform, so the money is just really not there, especially when you're in a group with so many people. So she's saying, fuck that shit, I'm gonna tell my story regardless. One thing that she wants to do is do a Netflix or Hulu documentary talking about the inner workings of the entertainment business, putting together boy bands, girl groups, selection, studio, touring, doing routines, practicing. I mean, she put 6 years of her life on the line working with Diddy. They put out 2 platinum albums under the Diddy Kane brand, and she wants to share those experiences. She wants to get with other folks that contributed to similar groups and talk about those inner workings. She was actually advocating for other members of the group to come with her and try to get that bag, right? Because as we can see, the streaming networks need content. There's a lot of different content that comes out talking about drama, talking about entertainment industry, you know, a lot of scandals, financial scandals, just different things are now becoming more documented these days. So of course there's a check there. So she's like, man, fuck that little couple $100 a month. Fuck that publishing check. I got other visions. Unfortunately, out of all of the members in Diddy Kane, only 2 have declined. The other 3 have taken the offer. We actually see Don Richard on Diddy's New Love project. So clearly she took it and ran with it. And I can't say anything bad about her taking that. She has to take care of her family, having peace with Diddy, being part of Dirty Money. You know, later on after things happen, she probably feels a sense of loyalty. So I understand why certain people may have taken the deal. Diddy came out and clarified on the Breakfast Club that he's not giving anything back. He's not paying anybody any specific amount of money. He just went through the publishing company Sony and said, hey, let's reassign those royalties. I no longer want to receive them. Have the lawyers work it out. Let them get their money, right? So he's not paying them any lump sum. He's not actually coming out of pocket for anything. it's just a redirection of royalties. Now, referring back to Aubrey O'Day's interview with Only Stands, I'm going to play some audio of her describing it much more eloquently than I can because she actually had the paperwork sitting in front of her. So let's get to that.
The deal that we were offered, and when I say we, not every artist got it. Like Day 26 did not get it. You can have your rights back to your music after Puff went under and somebody else bought our catalog. So this is long after we have 2 double platinum albums, $14, $15 an album from 2 million albums is, what is the math on that? 48 million?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm no mathematician, but maybe.
So $48 million somebody made on me.
Yeah.
I did not make anything. When I said I did Christina Aguilera for free, I didn't do Christina Aguilera for free, but the record label recouped it all. We were in debt at the end of that tour.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So I worked for free for the first 6-7 years of my career, basically, and also MTV was not paying us. And this is another part that I have that I feel some kind of way about, because MTV since then, in these recent years, has brought back every big cult show, meaning it had millions of followers, and it was at least 6 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Making the Band is one of those. They brought back Real World, they brought back Jersey Shore, they brought back Laguna Beach. Making the Band is the only one that they did not bring back. And Making the Band is the only cult MTV show that made that network, one of them, that they have never played in one rerun. Not one rerun. So I'd like to know why, and if it has something to do with Diddy. So basically, we only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900, some in the hundreds, okay? And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music, or EMI, or Sony ever in public. And there's a story there, and Hulu tells those stories, and streaming, Netflix tells those stories. And there's so many paychecks. I offered girls, I called all of them. I offered some of the girls, hey, if you need $800-900, I'll give it to you. Don't sign this. This is just a way to get you to never be able to publicly speak about what we have experienced. In this email, it does say, the money that you're getting is not coming through Puffy or Combs Music. This is a deal with Sony Music.
Okay.
Sony would be the ones that were paying us, EMI and Sony.
And then you'd be getting the money back from Down to DK Music.
I would get any money that the songs I wrote on that were streamed make, which is a couple $100. This is not the money that we made when we released the albums. This is not the $48 million that 2 platinum albums got somebody. Some of his artists have been rumored to be driving Uber to be able to feed their families. So a deal like this looks pretty good because you need the money or because you're scared to ever go against Puff. I'm somewhere in the middle of I don't give a fuck. Yeah, I don't need the money. I'm clearly making it, as we've discussed.
So there you have it, Aubrey O'Day, ladies and gentlemen. I can't say that I fault her on declining this offer, okay? Being that she's somebody that has some sort of way to take care of her family. I think she's married now. She's got a life of her own. She's got income of her own. She's got connections with different networks and stuff like that. I can't say that that's a bad decision because she still has the autonomy to speak freely. And that's one of the main things that we all try to fight for in this lifetime, is being able to openly express ourselves about the things that we experienced, the things that we went through, having teachable moments for those coming up after us. If you sign those rights away and then you violate them in the future, you open yourself up to lawsuits, being sued, other financial repercussions. She like, fuck that shit. It's not worth it, right? You add up all of the streaming revenue that they make from all platforms. Spotify, like I said, with what they're making and with the 5-person group, they're getting about $500-600 a month. You add everything else in there in tandem, it comes out to maybe be $1,000. Yeah, you might get $1,000 extra per month for the rest of your life, or as long as the music is still being streamed 500,000 times. But eventually that's going to decrease and dwindle down. So it's probably going to go to zero. And then the publishing's not producing anything because the songs are not being used in any broadcast. They're not being played on any radio stations. They're basically being erased from history. So I understand why Mark Curry said what he said, although he didn't contribute to nearly as much as other artists that should have something to say. But ultimately, I think artists like the Lox, who still have legacy, they still have the opportunity to go out and perform. They still have the opportunity to go out and, create awareness about that old music if they ever wanted to. I understand why they accepted their publishing back in 2021 because they're still out here. They did that Versus. They were able to make a lot of money off of replaying those songs and people going back and playing their catalog. That was probably extremely lucrative for them. However, Danity Kane, Day 26, the original band, those artists, we don't see them out here with any of those types of opportunities. We don't see their visibility. If you're not following them on Instagram, they kind of don't exist. So I understand all parties involved in their stance. The only party I don't completely understand is Diddy. And that's just being objective and looking at the business practice. I know that that's industry standard. It was the industry standard for many years, but it's definitely very predatory, and it shouldn't take 30 years to go back and, build a conscience on whether or not you want to pay those people back. But I'm not in his shoes. I don't sit where he sits. I definitely don't have $1 billion to my name. And, I guess those decisions are above my pay grade. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see y'all on the next one. All right. Much love and respect. Turn all post notifications on. Peace.